Hi, it's Bill Bishop. I'm the CEO of the Big Idea Company, and I want to talk to you about an extremely important topic: the future of AI in your business. And I say it's a very important topic because I actually think it'll be the only topic going forward over the next few years in business. We're all going to have to get our head around how we're going to use AI in our business. So that's what the purpose of this talk is to talk to you about that. First thing I want to get into is just get you to do a little self assessment. And so imagine there's a scale from 1 to 10. So 10 is that you are a world class expert in AI. You know everything about AI. 1 is you don't know anything. You never used it. You don't know anything. So give yourself a score between 1 and 10. Okay. And try to be as honest as you can about it. Now, based on my workshops that I've done so far, most people are between 1 and 4. Vast majority of people. They played around a little bit with AI, not very much, and they know a little bit about it, but they're kind of falling behind in my mind. And then there's some people that are from 5 to 7, so they're using it every day, all day, in as many ways they can in their business, and they're really getting their head around it. And they've been doing that now for a number of years. And then you have people who are way out there with from 8 to 10, and they really are the world class experts at that. So that's just a tiny sliver of people. So if you're somewhere between 1 and 4, then you've got good company. But that's a problem because you've got to get yourself much more acquainted with AI because it's going to have a huge impact on the success of your business. And the time is now. There are a lot of people who have really hesitated because, frankly, they just don't like the idea of AI. They've been listening to the media talk about how AI is going to take over the world, destroy the world. And there are lots of legitimate concerns. But there's also huge opportunity here for people in business. And if you don't know about AI, you have a low score here, you're going to be in big trouble really soon. And this is the reason why right here. So there essentially is this 10 times multiplier effect. So if you're, working in a business, you are a solo entrepreneur. If you get your score up to like 7 or 8, it'll be like you have a team of 10 people. And because you'll be orchestrating all this AI, and you'll have the equivalent of a company of 10 people. So you could actually go head to head now with a company of 10 people, but your costs would be 10 times less because you're using AI to do that. Okay. Now, let's say you're a company of 10 people. Well, AI used properly would give you the equivalent of a team of 100 people. So now think of how that company that does that can compete against other companies that aren't doing that. Like just think of how they could blow them out of the water. And of course, that number just keeps going up. So if you had 100 people company and they were all at a 7 or 8 when it comes to AI, that would be the equivalent of having 1,000 people in your company. Essentially, the same amount of productivity that 1,000 employee company could accomplish. And these are actually kind of conservative numbers. Actually, it could be actually significantly more. So this is what I've been experiencing: this 10-time multiplier effect. I can get 10 times more done in our company now because of AI, and it's unbelievable what we can do. And it also has freed up a lot of time as well that I don't have to spend working. So I'm getting the best of both worlds there. All right. So this is the promise of it, that you can have that, but it's also the danger, because if you have competitors that have this 10 times multiplier effect, then you're going to be in significant trouble because you won't be able to compete against them. So this is why it's really imperative that we all get our act together now. There's no more sort of sitting on the sidelines. We really need to get our act together when it comes to AI. Now, this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. So I really appreciate you investing the time in this. I think it's going to be the best time you've invested in a long time in watching some kind of video. And I'm going to cover these areas. So first thing is, I'm going to talk about what I call the AI candle trap. And this is based on my experience helping people with marketing, innovation, and technology over the last 35 years, maybe even 40 years. And I've seen that there's this trap that people are already falling into when it comes to AI. So the major benefit you're going to get already from this is that you're not going to fall into that trap. That's going to give you a huge advantage. The second thing is I'm going to get you started on your AI New Factory Project 2030. So everyone that's in our community, our AI community, is working on their Project 2030 to essentially build the AI version of their business. So I'm going to get you started on that. I'm going to show you how to get started on that. And I'm not actually asking you to change anything in your business. I'm just going to give you a very easy first step in order to get going in the right direction with all of this. The third thing is I'm going to talk about the future of AI. That's going to be the lion's share of the content here. Like, where is it actually going? Not so much where it is right now, but where is it going to go over the next 5 years, so that you are prepared to go along with it in the same direction. So you're gonna really want to maybe take a few notes on what I'm going to tell you here, because a lot of it is surprising and also exciting, I think. So then I'll just cover off all the dangers and opportunities that you will face as a business owner when it comes to AI. I'm going to make it sure exactly what we know are the dangers, primarily the dangers of doing nothing, and then the opportunities of using it to create value in the world. And then finally, I'll give you some direction on how to really succeed in the AI future that we're all facing here. Okay, so that's the content here of today's video. And like I say, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. All right, so first I want to talk about the AI candle trap. Now let's imagine that it is 1880 and you run a candle factory. So you sell like 1 million candles a year. You're making lots of money. You kind of wiped out all your competitors, and now you're the number one candle company, let's say, in the world. Okay, so everything's going super, and then this new technology comes along that you weren't expecting, but when you hear about it, you get kind of excited. Which is, they harnessed electricity, and they say now we can hook up your factory to electricity, so you no longer have to use steam. You can actually use less employees and create a more efficient factory in order to make candles. So that's pretty exciting. You start calculating, well, I could actually save a lot of money and be more productive, and it's all going to be great. I love electricity, right? So you start to hook up electricity to your factory. But you've fallen into a bit of a delusion, because what you're not appreciating is how electricity is going to affect the whole candle industry. You're not even thinking about that actually could change everything. You're not thinking about that part because you're just looking at the sort of short-term gains you're realizing. So of course, what came along because of electricity was the light bulb. And so somebody figured out how to use this new technology to provide your value proposition, right? Because really, what was the candle business all about in 1880? It was about giving people light, right? They needed light at night, and they used candles to do it. But now we can use a light bulb. And, you didn't think about that at all. You just got completely wiped out. So now maybe you sell a couple of candles a year, but probably you just went out of business. So this is the danger that people are facing right now with AI. And I saw this with the advent of the internet. As I'll explain, I was very much involved in the whole digital marketing world. And this is what's happening with AI right now, is that people are thinking about how they're going to use it to deliver their existing product or service. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about how it might change the whole ball game. So we have to have these two things at once. Like, yes, it's fine to get some short-term gains from using AI for our existing business, but ultimately we have to start thinking, well, what does our business really need to be in the future? Is this going to change things to the point where we really need to come up with something new? And I can tell you right now that you indeed need to do that. Okay, so we're not going to fall into the AI candle trap. We're going to work on I call it our old factory, and make that maybe more efficient with AI. But we're also going to think about, well, what's this new factory, I call it, going to look like, where it's an AI business? What's that going to look like? So we don't want to end up like the candle people. So that's our first strategy that we really recommend you have in mind while you're listening to all of this. Okay, so we're going to keep our old factory. We're going to keep making candles. We're not going to change anything. And we can, learn about AI while we're running our old factory. That's going to be kind of helpful. But we're also going to be working on our new factory, which is like another company across the street that's going to be a business for the AI world, right? Back in the 90s, I worked with Kodak, and they missed out completely on the digital photography evolution, right? They were just running their business to make film, and they didn't want to think about digital. But imagine if they had just said, okay, fine, we'll just keep making film, but we'll set up this other part of our company, and we'll just start really small, but we're going to call that Kodak Digital. Well, they probably would have taken over the world when it came to digital photography, but they didn't do it. They just focused completely on their old factory. So once again, we're not going to be like that. We're going to do both. We're going to do both. So you spend 89% of your time on your old factory, and we recommend 11% of your time on the new factory. So the time you're spending here watching this video will be part of that 11%. Okay. So we're going to build our new factory as well. All right. So that's why we have this name for this. We call it the New Factory Project 2030. And as you're going to see in a minute, 2030 is going to be a lot different than where we are right now. The world's going to be a lot different. Very, very quickly, things are going to change. So we all need to work on our Project 2030. So that's what I'd like you to be thinking about, is like, what's your vision for your business in 2030? What's that look like? Okay. Just like to say, just keep that in mind as you're learning all these other things. Now, the future of artificial intelligence is what I want to cover off now. And I've been telling people and teaching people about the future of business vis-a-vis technology for literally 40 years. I remember in 1981, I graduated from journalism school, and I was having these interviews with newspapers to get a job. And I started quickly realizing that I didn't want to do that, because I realized that technology was going to really undermine newspapers. Okay. And I wasn't actually, excited about that. And I just saw that was what was going to happen. So I started telling them that, they didn't really appreciate it, but I said, no, eventually it'll all be on electronic, like on some kind of a handheld device or something. It won't be any newspaper or paper anymore. And it's going to really, affect newspapers. And that was in 1981 that I was saying that. So I always like thinking about where the things are going and how technology is going to change things. I've been doing this for a long, long time. And it all really started right after that. I actually got a job working with Apple. I went to an Apple store. It was the first Apple store in Canada. And they had the Mac, sitting there, and I just started playing with it. I didn't actually have the money at that point to buy one, but I started playing around with it, and they couldn't get me out of the store. So they said, okay, well, why don't you just show people how it works when they come in, and maybe you could try and sell them one, So eventually they just gave me a job as a salesperson. And then that evolved into me being a spokesperson for Apple in Canada. So I was doing trade shows and conferences and getting up on the stage and explaining how Apple technology worked. And I was kind of doing really what Steve Jobs did in the United States at his conferences. I was the spokesperson in Canada. So I was telling people, okay, well, this is the technology. This is what you can do with it. But this is also where all of this is headed. Okay. So this became really my number one kind of unique ability, I guess. That was what I was found I was quite good at, was putting all those things together. So here I am today. So in 1995, I wrote the first book in the world about internet marketing. And what I said in the book was, well, it's not really internet marketing. It's what I call digital marketing. So I came up with that term, digital marketing. And I said, it's a much bigger thing than just getting a website and using email. Like this is, we're going to have a digital economy, and it's going to change everything and how business is done. So essentially, I started the first digital marketing consulting company in the world in 1995, based on that book. So once again, and in that book, I was telling people all kinds of things that were going to happen in the future that they found hard to imagine. So I said, eventually, you want to watch a movie, you're just on your computer or on your TV. All the movies are there. You pick one, you watch it. And they'd be, well, I can't imagine that. That sounds like, 100 years from now, And I said, yeah, and you'll be standing at the corner and you'll be on your little handheld, I called it, Newton at that point. And you'll pick, you say, tell a taxi service where you want to go, and it will come and pick you up on the street. And you'll be able to order a taxi right on your handheld device and so on. I can't imagine that could happen. So this is why when I tell you the things I'm going to tell you, you might think that they all sound pretty crazy, but I'm kind of used to that reaction, right? I'm not always 100% right, but most of the time, these things are actually pretty easy to imagine if you just give yourself permission to do it. In 2017, I wrote a book called The New Factory Thinker. And in that book, I said, technology is a game changer. But in order to, operate in a world where, the kind of new world that technology created, you have to change your way of thinking. You can't just use the old way of thinking to operate the new technology. So that book is about that. And I call this new way of thinking New Factory Thinking. So everything I'm going to tell you here today has these principles underlying it. And that's a book you might want to consider reading as part of your learning if you want to know more about the thinking process, right? And I've been working with AI now since 2017. I actually had our first network meeting about it in 2017. I said, this really is the future. This is what we all have to know. And in 2021, I wrote this book called Dancing with Robots. And what it talks about is the 29 business strategies to be successful in the age of AI. Okay, so once again, I'm going to talk about some of those strategies today. But I've been thinking a lot about AI and how it affects business for, almost a decade now. So once again, you can get the benefit of that. And what I'm working on now is the AI for Business Handbook. So we're going to have annual editions of this handbook, which will be connected to an online resource database. And it's really going to outline all the different strategies and technologies that people need to get their head around and use to be successful in the age of AI when you have a business. So we're looking ahead to getting that done. by the end of 2025, going into 2026. Okay, um, so the long and short of why I told you that was because I just want you to understand that I've had a lot of experience working with a lot of people. We have a coaching program, Big Idea Adventure, and we've had over 5,000 members in that program. So over the last 25 years or so, we've coached all those companies on how to use new technology, new ways of thinking in order to be successful going forward. So that's why this is not just an academic thing. This is all based on what actually works in the marketplace. So try to be really, really practical here. So another exciting thing that we've done is that we created a sister company called Big Idea AI. And this is my project 2030. Okay. So what we're doing is saying, okay, this is our business right now. We're a coaching company, a resource company, and we build networks and so on. What does the AI version of our business look like? And it's really exciting because we're using AI to create that business. I'm a member of my own network, that you could be part of. We're all helping each other do this. And this is our project. So it's really kind of blowing our mind, actually, what we've been able to come up with so far. So you're going to have the same thing. So one thing that people need when it comes to dealing with anything, but technology especially, is some kind of process to follow, right? Because you're putting this kind of new landscape, and you have no map, right? So we made a map, okay, and this is what we're going to take you through here. So the first thing that everyone in your organization needs to understand is the future of AI. Where is it going? What's it all about? What's the impact of that? So that's what we're going to cover off today. And then the second thing is to learn AI skills with other entrepreneurs. So we've created this network I'll talk about later that you can join for free. And we all teach each other about AI. Okay. We found that's the best way to learn, because if you're just by yourself, you don't know what you don't know. But if you're in a group of all kinds of other entrepreneurs and they're all doing different things with AI, we all learn from each other. It really, really speeds things up. It's also a lot of fun, actually. The next thing is to create a big idea, an AI big idea, and a blueprint. So you need to have some kind of idea. So this is the kind of business I'm trying to create with this new technology. And then I'm going to create a plan for doing that. Okay. So it'd be like if you, back in the day, you had, a taxi company. You'd say, what's my big idea for the future? You might have invented Uber, right? Or if you had a hotel, you might have invented Airbnb. So this is the same idea right now. So we're going to say, what is my big idea for using AI to create this new business that could be 1,000 times better than the one you have now? So then you start building that new factory. So you keep running your old factory, but you work on building your new factory, right? Okay. And then finally, you need to access to certain resources, right? So you need to be able to find the people that can really help you do that. So you need to have some kind of resource for that. Okay. So that's the path. So we're just starting with number one today, and we'll get going here. Okay. So the future of artificial intelligence. So what does it all look like, right? Where is this all going? And I think you're going to find this quite eye-opening. I've had people tell me that they thought it was kind of mind-boggling, ultimately, what they learned here. Okay, so the first thing that we really have to get our head around is that whatever AI you're using right now is the worst version of it that you'll ever use. Okay, so it's evolving every day. So tomorrow, the AI you'll use will be better than the one that you're using today. So, I see people, they start using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, different models, and they go, okay, that was great, but, but, and I go, yeah, but that's the worst version that you'll ever use. So if you just keep using it, it's just going to keep getting better and better and better. So So this is the thing, and it's evolving exponentially, which is really hard for people to get their head around. That it's evolving at an ever increasing speed. Okay, now I did some little bit of number crunching here. So Jensen Huang, he's the CEO of NVIDIA. Now they're the company that makes AI chips, and that company's growing pretty dramatically. And he knows what he's talking about. And he says that the capabilities of AI are increasing by a power of 4 every 12 months. So it's increasing by 4 times every 12 months. Okay, that's an exponential thing. So if we take right now 2025 and we say, well, AI that's out there has 1, let's say AI horsepower, which is pretty amazing already. But next year it's going to have 4 AI, or it's going to be 4 times better next year. Okay. But in 2027, it's going to be 256 times better. In 2028, the number starts to get so big, I can't even tell you what that number is, but it's big, right? Going to be that much more powerful. 2029, the number gets super huge. And then in 2030, the number is so big that it's more than all the atoms in the universe if things increase at a power of 4. Now, there could be certain limiting factors in it, but AI also then has all kinds of ways to overcome those limiting factors. So this is the most dramatic technology that's ever been created. And it's obviously, if it expands at that rate, it's going to have a vast impact. It's been predicted that over the next 5 years, because of this, all kinds of other new technologies are going to be created. And we're going to see more technological progress over a 5-year period than we saw over the last 100 years. And we obviously had a lot of, a lot of improvement over the last 100 years, but it's all going to happen in 5 years. Okay. And then the next doubling will probably be over a couple of years. So this is going to impact everybody, and it's going to be incredible, but it's also got dangers and opportunities as well. So this is something for everyone to really get their head around, because it is really hard when you talk about exponential things to imagine what that really means, you see. But basically it means that you better get going with AI. That's what it means. Now, as it expands in its capabilities, it becomes smarter, because we're talking about artificial intelligence, right? It's about how intelligent it is. And I've noticed that over the last few years, it's become incredibly much more intelligent, right? But right now, they say has an IQ of about 150. So it's very, very smart, with more than smart than 99% of people in the world. And also has access to everything that's ever been, learned basically at its fingertips. But as it goes along, it's going to increase in its IQ up to potentially 15,000. Now, no one really knows what that means, like what would that actually be like, except that it would be like the difference between our IQ and that of an ant. So now suddenly we're the ant and the AI is, Einstein times a million. So there's a huge gap there. But if we harness it right, then we can use it for all kinds of things in our business. But that's the part I think that really scares people. Obviously, that's like, okay, we're not the smartest people on the planet anymore. Now, AI is going to be multimodal, and it's going to be embedded in almost anything. Everything that it makes sense will have AI in it, because it's going to get more and more inexpensive and more portable, and it can really just be almost anywhere. So that's a very important thing to understand. And multimodal means that it'll be able to gather data in all kinds of different ways, like from your smartwatch, from cameras, from sensors, from anything you're doing on your computer, and so on. So it'll just be constantly gathering this data and learning from it. Those would be the eyes and ears of the AI. And so that'll just make it smarter and smarter, and have access to more and more information that we can use in all kinds of useful ways. Okay, so that's already happening. Like you can now use your smartphone while you're talking to AI, and you can use your camera, and it can be seeing what you're seeing, and you can be asking it questions and having conversation about what's actually happening in real time with your phone or any other kind of camera, right? So that's already happening in that regard. It's just become more and more prevalent as a technology. The most important thing right now to get your head around are AI agents. So in the last couple of weeks, I've really been studying where AI agents are right now and where they're going, and all the technology. So right now, there are some great, new, and easy to use ways to create AI agents, which essentially means that you can give it a task and it will go out and do that task. And it can automate all kinds of things in a very intelligent way. So you could have a situation where, just a simple one, and you get an incoming email, right? And then it will read the email and think about what the best response is based on everything that it knows about you, right? And then it will give you an email to send back. Okay, now that technology exists. I actually use a couple of them that do that. The emails are just drafts, but I can then say, okay, well, that's good. Or I just change it around a little bit. It could also do outbound calling to prospects and talk to them about your business and set up appointments with them and so on. So that'll be very common as well. It could go out on LinkedIn and it could look for prospects for you and decide what the best prospects are and what the best way to approach those people are, and then set up an appointment with them. All happening automatically. I essentially have something like that that's about 90% automated right now to do that myself. So that's just the very tip of the iceberg when it comes to agents. Okay, I'll talk more about where that could go, but we're all going to be using lots and lots of agents right now and in the future. AI avatars are kind of the public facing version. So I've created a number of avatars that represent me. I'll show you one in a minute, but also can talk to people. So there's one where you can go online and I'm there. It's me, my avatar, and it's been trained on all my books and all my YouTube videos and so on. It probably knows more about what I do than me now because I've maybe forgotten a few things. But you can actually talk to it, and it's my avatar, right? So in the future, you're going to have all kinds of avatars you're going to be talking to and working with that are going to look like real people on your computer. Or other people will be talking to your company and they'll be interacting with avatars as well. So this is kind of why we say one person company become 10, a 10 person company become 100. One of the things I've done is I've created an advisory board for my company. So what I did was I went out and I had AI do these research documents, like 20 to 50 page documents on all the knowledge of all these business people that I admire that've written business books and so on. And then I put them all into a project in ChatGPT, and that's my advisory board. So I can start asking your questions, and all these people now, or at least their AI equivalents, are giving me advice and feedback on my ideas for my business. So that's my advisory. So it's like I've created 10 avatars essentially that are super smart, and they represent super smart people in the world, and I use them as my advisory board. So so many things. I don't want to get into all the applications. That's another day. But once you start getting your head around all the things you can use this for, you start realizing I could really have quite a large business with 1 or 2 or 10 people. There actually is this kind of bet out there that, when will that first $1 billion company be created by a solo entrepreneur strictly using AI? Like no venture capital, okay? Just that one person, they know how to use AI, and they've created an automated company that will make $1 billion or actually be worth $1 billion. I would say that's coming in the next year or two for sure. I know maybe it'd be one of you actually. Hopefully, yeah.
Avatars like me are just the beginning. In the near future, AI avatars will represent individuals and organizations across business, education, healthcare, and entertainment. Executives will deploy avatars to deliver consistent communications, host meetings, and even negotiate deals. Customer service will be transformed, instant, multilingual, and deeply personalized. Avatars will also act as learning companions, onboarding guides, and brand ambassadors, tailored to your tone, values, and goals. And as AI becomes more adaptive, these avatars will evolve from scripted messengers into autonomous collaborators. Avatars connected to powerful and private AI might also sit on your board as a director. In fact, it might be legally mandatory to do so.
Okay, so that's one of the avatars that I've created. I call her Eilina. And what I did was I had the AI create a female version of me. So you'll see that she's located in my office, essentially. She's wearing the kind of clothes I wear, but she's female version of me and a bit younger, obviously. But she's been trained on my business. Okay. So she represents my business and she can speak to people. So that's an example of an avatar. So you're going to have, you could have, say, I want to have 10 employees all being AI avatars, and I'm going to create them, I'm going to even give them names, and they're going to be my company. Okay. So, and I'm not saying that we won't have any employees. Like you could, like I say, have 10 employees and be a company of 100 avatars, or you could be 100 people in the company and be 1,000 avatars. But the people will be essentially managing those teams of avatars and AIs. Okay. So AI agents. So this is the future. It sounds crazy, but that's actually where it's all going. And it's going to get easier and easier to build these things. Okay. Really, really easy. Now, the other thing that we need to understand is how it's all going to get integrated. So I started an internet company in 1989. It was called Bishop Information Group. And we built these bulletin board systems that were on the internet before anyone had ever heard of the internet. And we onboarded thousands of people into email and so on through that time. But one of the things I remember about it was how fragmented the technology on the internet was. There were all these different applications that were all separate things, and you had to know how to use them separately. That's kind of where the AI is right now. They're all separate things, a lot of different separate things. But eventually, it just became one thing. Basically, the web integrated all those applications into one place. Okay. And this is what's going to happen with AI. So there's going to be what I call a nested stack of AI models. All right. And they'll all be integrated together around you. So at the bottom of this pyramid will be the foundation models, like ChatGPT, for example, or Gemini are a foundation model. They're general purpose, general knowledge AIs. Okay. And they know a lot about the world generally. Then there'll be an AI that's been trained on your industry, like the healthcare or financial services or manufacturing, and it will be trained on that specific knowledge, right? So you'll stack that on your industry one on in your pyramid. Then there'll be one that's trained on your company, knows all about what's going on in your company. And then there's going to be one that's trained on you, and it'll know all about you. And it'll be all one integrated thing. And I know there's lots of people out there that won't touch AI with a 9-foot pole. Okay. But everyone is going to use this eventually. Okay. Because to not use it would be like crazy. It'd be like not having a smartphone, not being on the internet, not having a car, not flying in a plane. Like it's just going to be, everyone will use it because it's going to be so easy to use and so unbelievably helpful and useful. So this is where it's going right now. I have the foundation model running. I have the one for my company, and I have the one that's trained on me. So the industry one, I'm in many different industries, so I'm not sure what that one would be, but eventually those three are more or less separate, but they're all going to eventually become one system. And like I say, that'll be just a very incredibly useful thing that everybody's going to use. So very important to understand that part. The other thing that's very important in business to understand is private AI. There's a real concern with public AI, like using, like I say, ChatGPT or something, to upload your own private business information or personal information, because you go, I don't really know where that's going. Are they reading that information? Are they using it in their training model? I don't know if I want to put that out there. So there's a hesitancy to use that, right? A very legitimate concern. But private AI is really the next thing. And that means that you'll be able to have an AI that's running in your company. And it's behind a firewall, right? Just like your intranet and all the information in your company is now. You can have that AI running within your company. So that's going to be the company AI, the private AI. That's a huge thing coming up because everyone's going to need that. Everyone's going to want to use that. And when you get that, then you'll really have the best of both worlds. You'll have the access to the public AI intelligence, but you'll also have this private intelligence that you can use that knows all about your company. So once you have that set up, you're going to be using it to get all kinds of information, but also to ask it questions and get advice. So it might say to you, or you might say to it, like, what's the next strategy? What should we do next? And it'll say, okay, tomorrow everyone should wear yellow to work. And you go, why is that? And you say, well, it's a little hard to explain it, but just do it. And you say, okay, fine. So everybody wears yellow to work. And then a prospect shows up, big prospect, and they love the color yellow. So they decide to hire your company. And that's the biggest contract you ever got. And it was all because the AI told you to wear yellow. It's kind of a crazy thing, right? And then you say, well, what's the next thing to do? And it tells you something even more crazy. But then you go, okay, well, you were right all these other times, so maybe we should do that too. So at that point, it's almost like, well, who's running the company now, right? You still make the ultimate decisions, but it's going to be giving you lots of advice that you're probably going to take. So there's going to be a real collaboration there. Now, the other thing is that the AIs that we have now, there's two kinds. There's the predictive AI, and then there's the generative AI. Those are really the two major kind of categories of AI. And the generative AI is the one that everybody's excited about because it creates things, right? And that's based on this transformer architecture. So in ChatGPT, the T stands for transformer. It's the type of AI, it's sort of the basic paradigm of it that ChatGPT uses. Excuse me. So what you're going to see, though, is that there's going to be other kinds of AI that will be created that will come out from a whole different perspective. And I'm excited to see that happen ultimately because it'll give sort of different personalities, different abilities to AI that, the transformer architecture just doesn't allow. Okay. So I once again, I don't really know necessarily what that'll look like yet, but that's on the horizon as well. So keep an eye out for that. So going back to this, we have this huge exponential increase in the capabilities of AI. So even if I got these numbers off slightly wrong, okay, is that we're obviously in for quite a ride here. And you want to be on that ride, right? You don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. This is not something that you could catch up later or delegate later. It's not really working like that. It's something you have to participate in. So everyone from the CEO down, business owner down, needs to be using AI and completely embedding it in everything they're doing, and getting your score up to 7 or 8. Like that's what you need to do, right? That's why I got you to do that self-assessment, is we really need to understand. Okay, wait a minute, maybe I am falling behind. I need to catch up. right? So one thing to really consider is how will AI transform your industry? And this is one of the things I've done on my YouTube channel is I've started to develop these videos where I say, well, this is how these particular industries are going to change. So I did one about the insurance industry. I did one about financial services. I did another one about the commercial real estate industry. And we have a number of other ones teed up. But in each one, the video explains that how by 2030, the industry is going to be completely different because of AI and other technology like the Internet of Things and metaverse and so on, and how that was going to change everything. So we got to think about how is your industry going to change? How would it look completely different? There's a fellow on YouTube that writes about AI and online courses. And he makes a very good case. He says online courses are going away. Like, you're not going to have online courses anymore. You're going to have avatars that are agents that are there to train you at your own pace on a particular topic. And that will be the course that someone will offer. They'll put out a AI trained avatar to teach you about whatever it is you want to learn, right? That's going to replace online courses. That's just one example. Okay. All right. So that's just, I think, a taste of where it's all going. I think I've hopefully made a good case that we all need to get on board here. Now, what we figured out was that, you could just sit down with AI and use it and just keep learning. And I recommend you do that. But an even faster way to learn is to learn with other people, okay, in a collaborative place. So what we did was all my colleagues, we created this network. It's called the Big Idea Future Network. And we come together generally every 2 weeks for an hour and a half, and we share with each other how we're using AI in our business. And each time we have the meeting, people have got lots of new things to show because there's new stuff out there. And we always learn something. Like, it's like, wow, I never would have known that. And now I do. And it's accelerates your learning exponentially. So this is something that you can join. It's free. It's also a lot of fun because there's a lot of networking you can do. I've met all kinds of really cool people in this network, and it would be great if you wanted to be part of it. So all you need to do is show up, learn, and if you have something you can share with us about what you're doing with AI, then we can all learn from that too. So there you'll see there's a link there that you can use to register for that.